Hello everybody and welcome back to Rule of Waves 2. So I went ahead and modified the save so that we will have all of the technology in the game, even went as far as giving us all of the best quality guns. Not that we're going to use anything better than the 18-inch guns we already have. Let's go ahead and cut down our research to 0 because there's nothing to research anymore. And let's go ahead and get to redesigning ships so I can show off some of the nice fancy text that we have. So by giving you, well, let me also start my timer. So because I went ahead and improved our guns, let's go ahead and slap those up to better quality 18-inch guns. Get my timer, come on. Go. Open the wrong folder as per usual. Auto loader both of these because I mean if it'll let me, although I don't think that'll be possible. Yeah, not really feasible. If I drop you down to 4.3, that's still a ton of heavy EA factor, so we'll do that. Let's go ahead and show off some missiles. So where do I want to put you? I think I'm going to do center midship. Not quite midship. After center line. There we go. That looks better. Now these are SAM. Now as far as I can tell, I don't have an option for like choosing what type of missiles I want these to be. These are surface-to-air missiles. In theory, I have surface-to-surface missiles now. Maybe those are only available on certain things. I don't know. Okay, well, they must be center line. That's nice to know. Forward center line. If I try to do only one. Nope, I don't get choices. So, I don't know what type of missiles. So, again, so there's ASMs, so air-to-surface missiles, which are only usable on medium bombers. There are SAMs, which are surface-to-air missiles, which are meant for taking out enemy aircraft. And there are surface-to-surface missiles. Now, I don't know of any obvious location for choosing what type of missiles we're looking at. So I don't know if that is in any way possible. Because this only tells me that they're 2 medium SAMs. Like I said, I don't know if there's an option. I don't see an option here for changing them to be anything else. So I can only assume either it always will say that they're medium SAMs, but they're also technically able to be surface-to-surface missiles, or maybe surface-to-surface missiles are only usable on certain ship designs, and, well, dreadnoughts aren't those. I don't know. I really don't. Let's go ahead and get those queued up to go for their rebuild. Let's just say I want to design something from scratch. Just for an example. So as far as I can tell, no choices there. Yeah, no choices. So like I said, I don't know if those are working. To be honest, I really don't. The New Mexicos that have managed to survive so damn long, somehow. Yeah, no, those can't get their autoloaders. It's just not possible to fit those with those. If I wanted to give you two... Again, yeah, they're just listed as medium SAMs. I don't know. I really don't. Also, I had no idea how heavy these things were, but apparently they are ridiculously heavy. So, yeah, it looks like we're not going to be having them on very many designs without sacrifices being made. And Kinda looks like even with sacrifices being made, that may not be particularly feasible. If I get rid of those, and so with these you are at 80. If I do that, that gets you to 81. That leaves you with negative 140, or excuse me, negative 141 weight remaining. That's negative 157. Okay, I was just curious if it was, you know, it would be better to do one or the other, but it looks like it's probably better to stick to that. Because there's no significant change. What if I drop you down to 3 inches? 67. Which is technically more than if I keep you at 4 with none. Do that. I do another one in any way. That looks a little bit ridiculous because that's right on top of the catapult. And yeah, no, that's just not possible. Okay. We'll just do it like that. 8 months. Actually, no, that is terrible looking. I'm gonna actually just say midship for that, so it's not sitting literally on top of a turret, which is also a very weird looking design. Out of curiosity, armored cruisers? Do I get any options for you guys? I assume the answer is still going to be no, but you never know. Because again, I'm just assuming that these are still normal torpedoes right here. And I mean, it's also... No, I was going to say it's also possible surface-to-surface missiles don't work, but that doesn't quite make sense, because I definitely recall seeing somebody doing a fleet exercise, showing them off at the end of one of their Let's Plays. They definitely exist. But again, there's no options to choose what these things are. And you know, I also want to note, if you're going to go ahead and limit missile launchers being placed in certain locations, you should just always make it so you can only choose the proper locations. So the add missile launcher prompt here should just hide anything that is not centerline. Just my opinion on the matter. That is the better way to do this than the way it currently functions. What were you at? 77? Jumps you to 89, that jumps you to 93, that's actually really freaking good. We're gonna do that. Again, because I don't see any options to change what these are, I'm assuming just putting missile launchers, period, will allow them to be SAM, or SSMs, and SAMs. Because I doubt you would put them here. It would only make sense if, you know, this specified that they were now missiles and not torpedoes. But I don't believe that's the case. So we'll wait a little while. Those are going to take 8 months to get done. Britain grants independence to India. We can now build larger air bases. We shouldn't get upset over a little spying. I'm curious, because now that you had a turn to do stuff. Nope, okay. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. New float plane scouts for evaluation. Kind of like in the Lockheed. It's the fastest, it has the most range. Don't really care about the bomb loads because it's never going to use them. Just care about the speed and range, which I like that. I was looking at potentially doing a new thing again. I already have a new dive bomber coming out. A new medium bomber coming out. Float plane scout now as well. We already did a new fighter earlier. I think that's actually it. We're not going to be doing any more of those new aircraft. New hawkish government. We should be careful not to raise tensions right now. I don't know what the fuck the British just did, but, you know, they were doing okay before and then they jumped up for reasons. I don't know why. Like, they dropped down to yellow. And then they jumped back up to 11. We're not ready for a fight. What the fuck are they doing? They issue an ultimatum. Why? Literally, why? Britain. You have more battle cruisers, you have more CVs. I'm technically still allied with Germany, so that makes up for my CVs. And effectively puts us on a level playing field there. You apparently still have your CVLs running around, so good for you, I guess. You don't have very many submarines anymore. You know, I don't really want to fight you right now, because, you know, I kind of expected this part to be mostly focused on just getting through my reap. You know, we'll back down. Fuck you, I really don't care. I don't really want to fight you right now. I don't know why you got pissed off all of a sudden, but you did. Also, mobilize everybody and the air bases, because why not? Don't know why you're overweight. I'll send you for a bit of a longer rebuild, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, you can't carry mines. There. Now you have central rangefinder. Good for you. Enjoy. 10 months for that. Bunch more Corvettes just finished theirs. Germany wants to buy stuff. I don't plan to sell any of my stuff to you guys. You guys for a rebuild. Let you get the diesel, give you those, give you K-guns. Oh no, you can only go with 2 for you. Autoloading dual purpose. Primaries. No AA directors, because that's apparently just not going to work. Give you a couple more AA guns. And there you go. Nope. this? Germany spying. Or not Germany, France. Bad France. Really? Really, game? I tell France, bad France for spying on me, and that pisses off the British? Really? You realize how little sense that makes, right? That really makes no fucking sense. That should only raise tensions with the country that it is specifically that I am saying, how dare you spy on me? Which in this case was the French, not the British. The British have no reason to care about me telling the French, how dare you spy on me? Or at least, you know, that's what I would have expected, but evidently that's not how it's going to work. So, okay. Fine then. We'll deal with this. You guys still own Hong Kong, don't you? Oh, no, you don't. But you do still own Singapore and Malaya. But I still have to send stuff to Southeast Asia. So anything that's, well, pretty much anything that's on the west coast is going to, you know what? What do I want to do? Where is the bulk of their fleet here? Damn it, game, I'm selecting this button, thank you. South Pacific, okay. You guys, South Pacific, send the old New Mexicos to Southeast Asia. Send the Brooklyns to support in Southeast Asia. Send the two Langleys to the South Pacific and one Langley to Southeast Asia. What else do I got that I can ship around? Houston's. Go to the South Pacific. It's gonna take you a while to get there, but you're more useful there than you are than the Brooklyns are. Brooklyns are, yeah, they're old. The Wyoming can stay there. Get all our Corvettes and set them to not foreign station trade protection. Game complains about lack of foreign station in Southeast Asia and the North Pacific. Don't really want to send anything to North Pacific, but I guess I can send a couple of older Dale class. Southeast Asia should get taken care of with my stuff being sent there, but I'll send some of these Dales to the North Pacific to deal with that. We're working on a game. Yeah, give it. Go ahead. Great job, Germany. Now because, oh no, they actually still own Newfoundland here. They actually did send some stuff to the East Coast, so that's actually kind of surprising to say the least. But okay. We'll deal with that. The Oklahomas, they got their rebuilds. Wonderful. We'll see how they actually do. Again, those are labeled as SAMs, not SSMs, and I had no option for choosing those. So we'll see exactly how they function. I do recall from the person I watched that you do not have control of them like you do torpedoes. So that's kind of an annoyance. Yeah, we're working on it, game. Small engagement, they're not going to give me battle there. New medium bombers ready to go. Good for them. They hit the Colorado, which is an old New Mexico. Good for them, I guess. Are you not actually gonna give me battle? Okay, if you guys aren't gonna give me battle, everybody on the East Coast, not the Corvettes, everybody else on the East Coast, go to Northern Europe. Oh, you two are still out of action for a little bit. Also, I could have sworn you said Colorado. You did, okay. I don't recall anything happening to the Constitution, but apparently... Oh, you had the condenser problems, never mind. Convoy attack there, not gonna give me battle. What the fuck, they moved their shit now back over here. God damn it, game, I hate when you do this. Only the Navy can win this war. Now we're blockaded because they decided... This is the problem that we're gonna have to deal with. If I go to Northern Europe, they will come to the North American East Coast. If I stay in the North American East Coast, they will stay in Northern Europe. Basically, we're forced to perpetually blockade one another, because that's just the way this game works. Part of the issue we're going to run into is that the British lack any significant military, so it is spread few and far between. To the point that there is no real possibility for any serious engagements. I mean, in theory, they have 3 dreadnoughts. I don't see them. Oh, they're in the Mediterranean, and I can't go in the Mediterranean because I don't have any base capacity in the Mediterranean. Oh, no, actually I do. How? How do I have base capacity in the Mediterranean game? Do tell. Because Germany is somehow giving me 32, and somehow I have 132 here, despite owning no bases in the Mediterranean. Somehow magically I have 132 base capacity. I don't know how. It can't be because of any adjacencies. Because as far as I know, that's not how base capacity works. Base capacity is solely, to my knowledge, based off control of possessions within that region and how the bases are built up. Well, my ally is Germany, who's in Northern Europe. They own nothing in the Mediterranean. There is no reason for me to have base capacity in the Mediterranean. There's also no reason for Germany to have base capacity there either, of course. Russia also shouldn't have any. In fact, the only people who should have base capacity in the Mediterranean should be Italy, Austria-Hungary, France, and Great Britain. And even though Austria-Hungary looks like they're in Northern Europe, because they're 2 possessions, the flag location for them is within the box of Northern Europe, they're actually in the Mediterranean. This box is a little bit larger than it should be. Southern France is also, I believe, in the Mediterranean, but again, it's inside the box for Northern Europe. Is that correct? Yes, Southern France is in the Mediterranean. This box for... And I mean, we know that they can do rectangles and shit. This box for Northern Europe should be smaller. It really should be. It should be basically just south of La Rochelle here as the maximum extent of it. And this box for the Mediterranean should be made a little bit taller. Again, sort of just south, well, I guess sort of just north of Venice. Because that shit makes it confusing. More so than it needs to be. Okay, well, we have stuff that's entering service on the East Coast. Nope, don't care, don't care. You know what? Some of the stuff in Northern Europe, those Oklahomas and the Saratogas, did you get yours? You did. We'll take the Saratogas and we'll take 2 of the New Yorks and we'll move them back to North American East Coast so they can hopefully engage the British forces there. Of course, they're probably not going to give us battle. Oh boy, okay, well, this is not going to be a fun engagement. Attack enemy ships in general. Also, I don't know what the hell you're smoking, Rochester, but you're not fighting. You're returning to port. Where the hell is your port? Well, your closest one is going to be Pontianak over there. So, no, you're not fighting. But once I gained control of you, now I have control of you. Get the hell out of there. Like, seriously? Game, guess what? I had a battle cruiser you could have sent in this engagement. You didn't. I have a CV that you could have sent in this engagement. You didn't. You decided to send an ancient Brooklyn class that has gone through so many rebuilds the class is basically unrecognizable. On its own, a single Brooklyn, to go and attack what the enemy potentially had of 3 dreadnoughts. Oh, lucky for me, they didn't actually have any. They just had 9 destroyers, which would have just as easily killed this thing. Anyway, so it's a good thing that I didn't, you know, try to fight. Nope, we're still fighting. They're going to refuse to give battle every time I try to fight. That's going to be the issue we're going to deal with here. That they literally cannot fight us. I should have stuff down there. I don't recall what this was. And again, it's the fucking Rochester all on its lonesome. I know they had an estimated CV. There's some other shit, but I wasn't really paying attention. You don't have an exact objective, apparently, so I don't know what the hell you're supposed to be doing, Rochester. Just go sink these unidentified ships. Oh, they're supposed to be attacking our land thing there. What did they send? Oh, those are our things, never mind. I think I might have mentioned in the past, I'm probably not going to jump into a new Rule the Waves 2 Let's Play immediately after this one finishes, because, yeah, this is a game I enjoy, but it has problems, it really does. This battle generator, it needs massive improvements in my opinion. It really does. Now, this thing has absolutely ridiculous radar range, but it's probably going to struggle to find anything, except for friendlies. Oh, shit, enemy CL, apparently. I'm honestly shocked you... Oh, it's not even a CL. How the hell did you mistake this for a CL? It's 900 tons. How the hell did you manage to screw that up, guys? Also, somebody reported a CV here. Yeah, I don't know what the hell you guys are smoking. The fact that one shot didn't sink this thing is actually somewhat shocking. Because you have 9-inch guns. Those things should be wrecking this thing because it has no armor. Also, you should be a lot more accurate than you currently are. Yeah, really? Only a 2.03 hit chance? That's kind of low for, you know, all the tech we have. Granted, I understand. No, you actually have the best director in the game, so I don't know what your problem was. But now you've jumped up to a 10, which is great. And that basically puts you up at your base hit chance. So there you go. Now you guys figured out how the hell you're supposed to actually, you know, hit shit. They sent a Corvette to go and attack a land installation. They were never going to succeed. That thing does not have enough ammo to do that. And Rochester got hit by a torpedo afterwards. Because of course it fucking does. Okay, these two Oklahomas, I'm going to ship you to Southeast Asia. Because apparently the British aren't going to fight me in the South Pacific. So the guys I sent to the South Pacific, I'm going to leave the smallest of you, which is the Kentucky. You guys, Southeast Asia. Oh shit, they're actually gonna give me battle in Northern Europe. That is shocking to say the least. So we might actually get to see... Never mind, I was gonna say we might be able to see our dreadnoughts in action, but evidently not the case. Game decided, no dreadnought for you. So, let's get our bombers ready to go. Heavy bombs. Those 500-pound bombs ain't gonna cut it, guys. Well, that's not true. They'll hurt. They're just not gonna do any significant damage, so, you know, maybe use something that's actually useful. So, ready you for strike. Ready you for strike. Oh, well, we might still be able to see them in action because our, that's kind of interesting. They're listed here in torpedo mounts. We have two New Yorks here that are, ready to go. Oh, also, yeah, 300 search, that's a little ridiculous. Try more like 100. And a little more to the right as well. Not too much, just a little. Now, again, we have ridiculous radar. We should be able to detect them well before our aircraft probably even launch and doing real scouting. But nonetheless, we'll let our guys launch, assuming that you guys launch. They don't seem to be, which is interesting. Ah, because night's coming. Okay, that's whatever. You guys are moving as if you're wanting to launch, but then you're not launching. Also, you guys have elevators, so you shouldn't be needing to do that, except for... I think you have to turn off like that to still have aircraft land, but they don't need to do that now to take off. I don't recall you guys launching anything, so I don't know why the hell you're doing that, to be honest. Let's see. No idea what they have. Estimated there were 2 dreadnoughts. We don't have any of ours. Where's... okay. Wow, that thing is well within radar contact range, and it took you until then to find it? It's in torpedo range now, guys. I mean, let's take a look. That green that you can probably only barely make out because it's a very thin line is radar range. It is within main gun range of the New Yorks, and it is within torpedo range and fairly close to being within main gun range of our destroyers, the Terry, or Chauncey classes, excuse me, rather. Really? Your radar are that bad? This was picked up by the Terry specifically. Really? You guys have the best radar in the game, and you still failed miserably at detecting it in a reasonable time frame. Now, at some point, you guys are presumably going to blind fire on it, right? Yeah, San Diego said, okay, I'm going to blind fire now. Now, no idea what it is. It could be a transport, it could be literally anything. It's taking a lot of fire right now. I'm going to tell the Terry to go ahead and launch a torpedo strike on it. Before I forget, also mark you guys to not fire your torpedoes just because you feel like it. It took a torpedo hit, and it took 2 more then. And it's considered to be dead in the water. Whatever it was. Now I need to sink at least 2 enemies. It was apparently a merchant. I need to sink 2 enemies of literally any ship type. It can be transports, it could be actual combat vessels, it doesn't matter. That's probably... okay. That's gonna be combat ships. What the hell happened to this Memphis? Your turret jammed. Really? How the hell did you get your A turret jammed? I don't think you even fired. Whatever. You guys go over there. You're supposed to stick with the CVs, so you stick with the CVs. I'm gonna actually move the CVs southish. I don't want them getting involved in whatever the hell this is. But that's gonna be combat vessels there. And they do seem to have finally unlocked blind firing for the British as well. We seem to be getting some hits. This is probably a bunch of destroyers, would be my guess. Lawrence took a hit to the machinery that splintered, and the Warden took a hit to its X-turret, which has been disabled, but not destroyed, so they might be able to get it back up during this engagement. And somebody fired a torpedo. Oh, fucking Lawrence. Because you broke off, the game forgets my orders here. I don't know what the hell you expect that to hit. But it ain't gonna hit anything, I can tell you that right now. Terry's gonna break off because it's dead. Now, I will say this. If I was allied with France, it would make sense for me to be approaching from here. But since I'm allied with Germany, our engagement should be over here. Not down here in the English Channel. Just as a note, because we're not going to sortie out from the French coastline, considering we're not allied with the French. We're allied with the Germans. So, again, another problem with the battle generator. It needs to look and see, okay, do you own a base in this area where we're going to fight? Or are you allied with somebody who owns a base there? And the engagements should, in theory, only take place within a certain radius from a friendly base, either one owned by you or by an ally. This way you don't have engagements like this that make no frickin' sense. Because this makes it look like we sorted out from frickin' Brittany here. Which was not the case. There's no way in hell we sorted from Brittany. Now, if our approach was coming into the English Channel, heading southwest, then I could sort of get having an engagement over here. but we were heading straight north from Brittany. So again, this engagement does not make any sense whatsoever to me. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is an enjoyable game. It is a lot of fun, or at least has the potential to be at times. But it also has very weird quirks. Such as, in this case, a battle generator that decides to sortie us from Brittany, even though we're not allied with the people who own Brittany, i.e. France. I don't know why the hell you need to slow the fuck down. 5. A British Navy that decides to flip-flop between being located in Northern Europe and being located in the North American East Coast. Which, just, no. Game, no. If they're wanting to avoid being blockaded, they keep their fleet on the North American East Coast. They don't decide, okay, we're not being blockaded anymore. Let's move our fleet out. And then immediately next turn be blockaded again and say, oh no, those ships we just sent out, they need to turn around and come back home so we can break the blockade again. So that we can immediately become blockaded again the turn after that because we're idiots and we don't know how to deal with the mechanics. This is a fun game. I swear it is a fun game, but it has problems. It really does. And part of it is just AI, which I can understand. Designing competent AI is difficult. Mostly because there's no real good strategy for doing so. There really isn't. You know, you can give your AI parameters for decision making, and when you do that, you end up with an AI that's predictable. You know, you can sort of cheese it, in a sense. Because you're able to know, okay, if you design your AI to react a specific way, players will eventually learn how it reacts and be able to take care of that. And make decisions around taking advantage of a known method of reacting for the AI. Or you can design an AI that just does random shit in hopes that everything works out well. Which, in my opinion, is how Paradox AI seems to work half the damn time. I know it's not, but it seems like if you ever played a Paradox game, the AI makes decisions that sometimes make no sense. You know, it'll, in Stellaris, build buildings. And when you take over the planet, you're like, why the hell did you build that? There's no reason to build that. But the AI decided, I have to build that. Because reason. You know, or it'll give you all of its money. It'll just decide, hey, you're big and powerful. I don't want to fight you, so I'm going to give you tons of money. Even though I'm the player. I don't give a crap if you give me gifts. You know, you can give me all the gifts in the world. If I decide I'm ready to fight a war with you, I'm fighting a war with you. I don't care if you gave me all your money and gifts or not. Truxton. Don't know why it's saying you don't have an arc on anything, because really you should have some frickin' arcs, guys. I mean, the enemies literally just walked themselves into a frickin' trap now. It's literally shooting fish in a barrel, but with torpedoes. which just made my life a hell of a lot easier. Now we're going to lose a bunch of these destroyers, and quite frankly, I don't give a damn because the game's over. I'm probably going to have this be the last part, potentially. I'm probably not even going to bother finishing this war because, quite frankly, I just don't care enough to finish it. This is, like I said, a game that is enjoyable, but it has problems. It really does. And there's nothing that can really be done to fix it without a serious, probably, overhaul in the game's coding. And so as a result, it's unlikely that any significant changes that would massively improve those aspects of the game that have problems will be fixed anytime soon. Because to do that, like I said, you'd probably have to spend a lot of time effectively redoing the game, potentially from scratch. Oh, Memphis. Your rudder got jammed, and apparently the San Diego did not automatically break off. There we go. Now it does. It took the game a second, apparently, to realize that, oh, I should probably break off now. Because otherwise I'm just going in circles. Yeah, we're not going to get to see our new fancy dive bombers go and do their thing now. Which sucks, because I would love to have seen them do their thing, but that's not going to happen. We're just going to go ahead and leave. How much time is left on my timer? 13 minutes. You know, this might be a short part. Because I don't care. I really don't. I just can't be bothered at this point, really. I don't recall exactly what day of the week or when this part goes up. It's definitely late March, that I know. Come on, guys, just get out of there so you can be considered no longer engaged. You completed the objective, good for you guys. Gotta wait for this tick down to tick up to 900. Apparently our guys are not far enough away from enemies to just go ahead and move on. Really? Still? Harry, what the hell are you spotting? There are no ships. Oh, there is. There's it's a land feature. Oh my god, you're gonna make this annoying, aren't you, Perry? I need you to forget about that. Oh my god, you're actually gonna make this a pain, aren't you, game? English channel. It's annoying, evidently, is gonna be its motto. Looked all that already. I'm just gonna tell you guys to go here and just fucking do your shit. I don't care if you launch at night. I really don't. Okay, the Grumman Dolphins apparently lack range. Yes, I'm sure. Go here. Tech, whatever. Also, is it really going to take you guys that freaking long to launch? Because that's a little... Oh, now the game decides to do that. You know, when I'm saying screw it and doing that. I'm sorry, what? A battlecruiser called the United States? That is a weird name for a battlecruiser. Okay, what do I take? Just so we can finish this. Fuck it, I'll just take war reps. And Germany took Iceland. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this series. Like I said, it'll probably be a little while before I go ahead and show off any future engagement. Or any future series of this game. I said it before and I'll say it again. And I already said it multiple times as part. This is a fun game. It has potential to be very enjoyable at times. But it can also be very, very annoying. Due in part to just the way the game works. The battle generator could stand to be better. Personally, I think the biggest change that could be made that would improve the game would probably be the ability to group ships into your own fleets and move those fleets around instead of the individual ships. And you use those fleets that are designed by the player with maybe a little bit of randomization in the battle generator to decide whether or not or what ships are involved in an engagement. And of course, I expect people to say, but that's not fair. Because then you can just build uber fleets that nobody will be able, that the AI will not be able to combat. Well, not really. Because if I'm specifically designing fleets, well, those fleets are only able to cover certain areas. For example, one fleet alone is not going to cover Southeast Asia. It's just too large of a sea theater for a single fleet to be based out of there and reasonably actually do anything. There's a reason why you can have the game, or you know those pop-ups we get that say, oh, enemy gains 10 VP because they own the seas around Formosa or whatever. Yeah. So I won't be able to have just a single pre-designed fleet in Southeast Asia because it would only be able to cover maybe the Philippines and Formosa in this case. But that will leave Borneo here undefended. That might leave the Northern Marianas and Marshall Island, or Guam, and the Caroline Islands, if I owned them still, undefended with only a single fleet here. I might need 2 or even 3 fleets potentially in Southeast Asia. Well, I'm not going to have the budget, realistically, to have 2 or even 3 fleets, especially in Southeast Asia, and still be able to have a fleet in the South Pacific, which is also going to require probably another 2 or 3 fleets. To have a fleet in the North American East Coast, to have probably 2 fleets in the Caribbean. As the US in our current situation, we can forget about the North Pacific, West Coast, and Central Pacific because we own everything there, or at least the only things that matter. So I'm looking at like 6 fleets in the Pacific, basically. At most. 4 might be able to cut it. It depends on exactly what radiuses that the fleets are able to cover, which you can use based off of what ships are in that fleet and the max range of them. You know, if I have a fleet and even just a single ship in that fleet has a range of short in its design range, well, it's going to massively decrease the radius that that fleet is able to cover around wherever its home base is. In fact, really, I'd probably go with something similar to Hearts of Iron 4's system where fleets can have a home base And so I could design a fleet and give it a home base of, say, Apari here in the northern Philippines. And with medium range, it can cover Formosa, or at least the south side of Formosa, and Hong Kong, as well as probably the entire Philippines. Or at least, you know, the northern Philippines up here, maybe as far south as Legazpi, which I've definitely mispronounced. But it may not be able to cover Davao down here in the south, potentially. And it sure as hell ain't going to cover Guam, the Northern Marianas, the Caroline Islands, Borneo. So I might need to have another fleet that's based out of Borneo. You know, and then that'll be able to cover Java, Borneo, Moluccas, Singapore, Sumatra, Malaya, but it's not going to cover Vietnam. So I would need a fleet that's able to specifically deal with Vietnam, potentially. You know, and then I would need 2 fleets at least down here in the South Pacific. One could be based out of, if I really cared about it, Polynesia, although Polynesia has nothing around it, so really one might be able to cut it here in the South Pacific, in fact. Because you can't invade Polynesia, you shouldn't have any engagements in the area, really. So I'd have to have a fleet based out of, say, New Hebrides here. Maybe a second one based out of Bougainville or Bismarck, or the Bismarck Archipelago, to cover this area. And then you have one that covers this area. And again, that leaves the British to have the ability to not have a fleet based around New Zealand, because they don't need a fleet around New Zealand. Nothing's going to invade New Zealand. You physically can't invade it. You don't get the invasion range. This is maximum invasion range. There's no way to get to New Zealand to invade it. There's no way to get to Eastern Australia. Western Australia, you probably could if you owned the Moluccas or Java. Depends on where Dill is. Or Dili, however it's pronounced, which is actually in the Moluccas. So you might be able to invade Western Australia if you own the Moluccas. You know, I'd probably need 2 fleets in the Caribbean. One for, you know, the Caribbean proper. And, of course, it's not able to be everywhere, so it might even really be better to have 2 for the Caribbean proper. And then I'd have to have one for Southeast, or the Gulf Coast. We've had a couple engagements here. It's very rare that I get engagements on the Gulf Coast, but it does happen sometimes. And then, you know, I'll need at least 2 fleets in the East Coast. One for the north up here, Portland, Boston, New York, that sort of area. But we also get engagements down here in the region for the southeastern seaboard. So I would need another fleet to be able to watch like Norfolk, Wilmington, Charleston. So 2 fleets here. 2, maybe 3 fleets in the Caribbean. 1, maybe 2 in the South Pacific. Another 2, maybe even 3 potentially in Southeast Asia. That's a lot of fleets. There's no way you're going to have massive fleets for all of those. You're going to have to pick and choose your fleet sizes. Some fleets are going to be bigger than others. Some fleets may not have dreadnoughts. Some fleets may be almost entirely comprised of destroyers, potentially, even. With maybe a light cruiser or 2 in the mix. So that they at least have a little bit of firepower, potentially, should they get into a larger engagement. That's just the way I see it, you know. This game is enjoyable. It really is. But it also has problems. And there's, sadly, really nothing. I think it's very difficult to fix any of these issues that do exist with the game. I really do. Because they will require quite a bit of effort, I think, to be put in. And I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's not as much effort as I'm expecting. But I really do think it will probably require a lot more effort than most people would be willing to put in to deal with some of the issues that do exist with the game. But again, I do think overall, this is an enjoyable game, even with its issues. But as a result of those issues, I think I'm going to hold off on doing another Let's Play of this series for at least a little bit. You know, maybe let it get a version or two out. Maybe it'll improve and fix some of those other issues I have, such as the battle generator and things like that. Because we do get engagements that just don't make any real sense. You know, a single light cruiser on a raid, on a cargo raid, to attack an enemy trade convoy. But again, I only have that single light cruiser. The enemy has 9 destroyers. Yeah, no reasonable captain of a light cruiser is going to go ahead and actually go through with that engagement. Especially as soon as they realize that they are dealing with 9 light cruisers, or not light cruisers, 9 destroyers, all of them with tons of torpedoes. Yeah, no, you're not going in that engagement. That's a terrible engagement. Your ship is far too important to lose it in a engagement that you know is going to fail as soon as you find out that there are 9 enemy destroyers protecting that convoy. So you might go in, get a couple shots in for a little while, and then you soon realize, this doesn't seem like a good engagement, and you'll hightail it out of there. So, not quite what we ended up doing, which was as soon as I was able to take control of the ship, I turned tail and ran, because I wasn't going to try and fight that battle. I didn't know what the enemy had, but I knew the estimated enemy force included dreadnoughts. I had no idea if the game was going to give them those dreadnoughts in that engagement, and I was not going to go and fight them if the game did. So yeah, again, enjoyable game, has problems. Hopefully, eventually though, I really do think if work is put into it, those issues can probably get sorted out. It just may require a lot more work and more time than some people are willing to wait for, I imagine. To be honest, I probably wouldn't really be able to wait for all those issues to get sorted out, personally. But yeah, so eventually, maybe I'll come back. Well, not maybe. I will eventually come back. I don't know when it'll be, but at some point I will come back and do another Let's Play. I don't know as who. We'll figure it out or whenever I do come back. But for now, that's going to be it for Rule the Waves 2. I will be back at some point in the future with more of it. Also, before we leave, I do want to say one thing. What the hell is this BS that a 700-ton displacement destroyer has more ASW capacity than a 2,500-ton destroyer? I just noticed this. You have 2 K-guns, ASW mortar, and 5 torpedo tubes that are above water. Okay. The Chaunceys here have 4 K-guns, so double the K-guns. They also have ASW mortars, and they have 10 above water torpedo tubes. Not that the torpedo tubes matter for ASW, but nonetheless. Both of you have ASW mortars, but the Chaunceys have double. Are they really taking an ASW penalty as a result of their size? 'Cause let's see, we got our Corvettes, the Lakemores. They're smaller at 600 tons, but they only have 4 ASW capacity. And they have the exact same ASW complement as the Dales do. They have 2 K-guns, 4 ASW mortar, and increased depth charge storage. You have 2 K-guns, 4 ASW mortar, increased depth charge storage. You're 100 tons larger, but somehow you have double the ASW capacity. You don't even have minesweepers. These things have minesweepers. The Chauncey's have minesweepers, 4K guns. Yeah, that's... No, that game, that makes no freaking sense. And it's not because of crew quality. It's all good here for the Dales and Chaunceys. And somehow the Dales have more ASW capability than the Chaunceys. They're even slower. And they have less guns. So there's no logical reason for why the Dales have better ASW. There really isn't. And these guys have colonial service, because that's a thing that I was doing back in the day, and then I just kind of stopped doing at some point, partly because I just was forgetting to do it, and don't really care enough to go back and ever change it, really. Whatever. So, yeah. I'll see you all in whatever the next video it is on the channel that you watch. But until then, let's go ahead and go. Let's resign. Yes, I'm sure. So, our prestige, we finished off with 78. This is for the 1900 to 1930 period, which we got up to like 50-something-ish. Kind of hung around there. Fleet tonnage. Yeah, British are an absolute mess. We are red. So, you know, we did pretty good, damn good too. The Italians, yeah. Economy. What color are the Soviets? Magenta? I don't know why it's... The colors are kind of... Or the flag placement here for the Soviets is a little off. It's overlapping with my line. Yeah. Much larger economy come the end of the 1930 period. Which doesn't quite look right, because this actually seems to end basically 1926, 1927-ish. So that doesn't make sense to say this is 1900, 1930, but whatever. Summary of lost ships over that period. 952 auxiliary seems a little extreme, to be honest. Wars and prestige in the 1920s to 50s, we jumped up to 60-ish. Lots of big battles here. Don't know what these pillars are, though. Those are supposed to be our, like, alliance periods or something? That doesn't... No. Wars? Yeah, that must be war periods. That's something that makes sense. So, when we fought the Japanese here, between 1930 and 1931, we had a lot of major battles. Not quite sure what's going on over here with this not quite being encompassing all this, but whatever. Fleet tonnage. We overtook the British a couple times and then dropped back down and then overtook them again at the end. Economy. Still leagues better than the British, who actually sort of leveled off for the most part between the 20s and during the 20s and 30s. Up until about 1935 when they started steadily increasing again. And okay, summary of lost ships seems to be for the entire campaign. And 1940 to 65 period. Again, yeah, don't know what's going on with this. This should all be a part of this war here, but the game's not considering it, probably because of save modification. It wasn't quite tracking properly. Fleet tonnage during this period, again, little overlap with the last time. Overtook the British, dropped back down, overtook, dropped back down, but they dropped down, kept dropping when we went back up. And then we dropped back down and just sort of rinse and repeat, eventually overtaking them in the very end. An economy, yep, Still, don't mess with us. You don't want to deal with it. So, overall, through the entire course of the campaign, we lost 10 dreadnoughts, the British lost 12. We lost 3 battle cruisers, the British lost 7. We lost 3 pre-dreadnoughts, the British lost 6. We lost 22 armored cruisers, the British lost 17. We lost no CVs, the British lost 5. We lost no CVLs, the British lost 3. We lost 9 light cruisers, the British lost 12. We lost 80 destroyers, holy crap. The British lost 90. We lost 21 Corvettes, the British lost 21. Auxiliaries, I honestly don't know why the hell this is so freaking high for us, but reasons apparently. We lost no land targets, the British lost 2. I don't know why. It's, yeah, whatever. We lost 72 submarines, the British lost 127. Nope, you can't sort this at all. Great job. But those cannot be sorted at all. Also, this doesn't include any aircraft, annoyingly as well. So, Admiral Korgath, USA, 78 Prestige, 1957. Don't know what the hell's going on here with Gensu Togo. Unless that's a default one that's always there. I don't think that's the case. I never resigned from any game as Japan. And I never actually played a full real campaign as Japan. I mean, I launched at one point with a mod. The realistic fleet mod, or whatever the hell it's called, that gives you the realistic starting fleets for either 1900, 1920, or 1934, I think it is. Are the 3 versions of the mod that exist. Yeah, I never resigned from the one I did, so unless Gensu Togo here is just always there as a default, I don't know. But whatever. That'll be it for this part. I'll see you all again in whatever the next video it is on the channel that you watch. But until then, goodbye and farewell.